Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to the pilot episode of
Two Bearded Men.
And today I'm here with
B Conspiracy.
and I'm Dev. So let's get started off in a first few topics. We're gonna have B Conspiracy start us off.
The first topic I would like to talk about is something that people are very acquainted with, and it's also the topic of time travel. Many people believe that it's possible, some others may not, but personally I believe it's very much so possible with technology advancing and human capacity. I feel like eventually we'll be able to reach it, if not be close to cracking it. Because many movies have hinted at it, many movies have brought it into a certain light and have shown many ways of it being possible, but that's just the big screen. I feel like as we're creating more ships like Elon Musk and many other smart, intelligent scientists, we can create either a certain machine to travel through time, or we'll be able to crack another way of doing it.
I think so too. I think that it's pretty crazy how we might be able to go back in time someday or not. It's hard to tell since the universe is so big and everything. But also our closest way to actually achieving time travel is going out into the universe and going so far and then coming back, because a lot of time will pass. You ever seen Interstellar?
I haven't seen it now.
Interstellar is such a good movie. It has a don't quote me. I'm blanking right now, but anyways, it's really good. You should watch it sometime. But it has a lot of time travel about it, and I think it really sums up how space can be used for time travel. But what do you think about time travel machines? Like,
I believe that since we do create very fast machines like a jet or a rocket ship, I feel like we could be able to use something like that to time travel, because I feel like, as I said earlier, movies project that kind of idea and show that there's a certain way that you can use speed as a certain way to time travel. And I feel like once you reach a certain limit of speed here on Earth, you'd be able to travel fast enough to either go forward or somehow go backwards in time.
yeah, I hope that maybe we can go backwards, but it might always just be forwards. It's hard to tell. Like wormholes and everything could also be used for time travel. Wormholes are another topic. They're massive, and it's gonna be a lot to wrap our brains around. But let's move on to our second point of the day, which is mine. And mine is going to be just the universe in general, because it's massive, it's ever expanding almost, and there is a limit to it. But how do you think, like, the end of the universe looks like?
I personally can't really picture it myself. I feel like, as many people can't really picture exactly how it would end, because it's all empty space. It's all black, empty space, and we won't be able to capture an image of it quite yet, but I feel like it would be a grand thing to see, an amazing thing to see, something wonderful, and it would be quite the discovery of actually finding the end of the universe, because as we said, or it is enormous. There's many solar systems in it, and we've barely been able to go out into our
How
own
long do you think it
solar
would
system.
actually take us to reach the end of the universe, like, just from now?
I don't quite know for sure, because since we can't really find out traveling too fast in space itself, I feel like we have to crack the way to actually travel at a certain speed or a fast speed in space before we can develop a way to get there first.
Yeah, we also need to find out a way to get around the planets if we ever do travel so fast, because our brains won't be able to comprehend the speed.
That is true. I feel like since we're colonizing Mars, or attempting to, I feel like once we do that, once we crack that, we could do the same thing to other planets later on, and maybe use that as a kind of
Or
fuel
gas
system.
station, yeah.
A fuel system for the machine that we're using to travel, and it would be easier to get along and travel further out into space.
And then raise like astronauts on the planets and just keep going and expanding every way.
People to continue it and be able to keep it going enough for us to actually continue to travel, because many people might think that at some point we might stop, or we might not be able to continue colonizing other planets, or we might not even colonize Mars. But I believe that as we keep pushing forward, we might be able to do as much as we just want.
Yeah, but speaking of that topic of expanding, the galaxy expanding, it is massive. And like, what if we stop at our little gas stations, and it expands way beyond from what it was before the gas station?
I personally feel like it wouldn't affect too much. I feel like since we're expanding into territory we don't really know about, and we haven't been able to explore too much, I feel like we have to wait for a moment where we actually explore more of space itself, so we can decide an opinion on that.
This topic is like massive. It's probably suited for another whole podcast to itself. So let's move on to our third topic of the day. What do you think?
This topic I have is very out of topic from this, but it's something that many people know about, something that many people cherish in their hearts, and it's actually Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a game that many people grew up with. It's a game that has continued for years and is soon to have its own movie.
Yeah, it's deserving of its own movie. The movie's coming out, and it better be good. Like they better not let the franchise down.
Yeah, they better keep it. They better keep it good compared to the storyline and the games. Keep how well spirited the game actually is, and be able to really compare it to the games themselves. Because some people think that it might actually flop. Some people think it might be exactly how the games are. I believe that once we actually see the movie, we can put an opinion out there. But right now, I'm deciding that it will be good.
Yeah.
I always loved the games when I was younger. I still sometimes play them now, but they developed from such a small game and turned into a giant empire.
I won't lie to you. I've seen people play the games, but I've only played like 2, so I might have to run through them all before I finish.
Yeah, the games are amazing. I played all of them except for one, but they're all good. They've all kept that sense of fear that also keeps a sense of excitement and it rushes adrenaline.
Adventure, because it's almost a new game, but it's the same game but a new game every time.
Exactly. Always either you're at a different location or it has new characters, and it's a good developing game that keeps its story going. And even though it's a long story and the story may be complicated to comprehend, it also gives a good sense of excitement, and you won't really expect what's going to happen next, which is good about it. It develops from just games to books, and now soon to come a movie.
Hopefully a really good movie, as we said before. But what do you think about the story of it? Do you think it should stay the same, change? What do you?
I think it should stay the same, because if they were to branch off and find something else, faithful fans would probably be very upset or drift away from the game because they didn't really like the way they portrayed the game as a movie. I feel like once the movie comes out, we'll be able to say more about it. But for now, I think that they should really stick to the original idea of the game, or maybe introduce something new, but also stay aligned with the game that helps it portray more of what it wanted to.
Yeah. Another thing about keeping it the same, do you think it should use the same, like, do you think it should use the same pizzeria every time, or do you think they should use all the pizzerias, or just a new movie for the other ones?
I feel like they should use separate movies for separate pizzerias, because if they develop all pizzerias into one movie, it would shorten down the story so much, and it wouldn't really have the same impact it had whenever it first came out. And I feel like changing it, squishing it into one movie is a little bit too much.
It might be too much for us to handle, and it would take away from the story and everything.
Exactly.
I can understand.
It would also it would take away how the story actually first felt, because we all know that the stories themselves, the pizzerias all have their own history, they all have their own events, they all have their own characters, and I feel like introducing characters in separate movies and separate pizzerias would really also help keep the movies going and allow them to keep making more and more movies.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about like the sister location pizzeria? Because it's completely different from almost every other one. All of the other ones are like actual pizzeria. Sister location seems more like kind of like a dungeon looking place. It's weird. It's exciting kind of.
I feel like that would be it's a good concept that they, I think, should put in its own movie. Like maybe not the exact same title as the others, maybe just sister location as the game did, because when it first came out, it didn't have Fnaf before the name. It was just sister location. And it was its own kind of, not story, but its own kind of, it's kind of like its own game sort of, because it had newer things from the older games, how you were able to actually move in the game, not stay in the same room.
And it wasn't all just jump scares. It was, you had to slow down from Ballerina, whatever her name was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think her name was just Ballerina.
Or just the scene of the scooping room. All that was completely different. It wasn't just.
And it was also kind of like, it wasn't just you that died. They had the construction workers who were working on Baby, and then they ended up getting
hung.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
They
really branched off.
The story there was nice, and I feel like, as I said earlier, it should definitely have its own movie.
Yeah, which of the games do you think didn't really hold up as well as the others?
I feel like the most recent one, Security Breach, wasn't really too close or comparable to the other games, considering it was less about the scare and more of the lights and all the graphics and the way to get out of the pizzeria. Yeah. It wasn't very much so of a horror game as the other ones were, and it doesn't have the same.
It was still a good game, just not Five Nights at Freddy's.
Exactly.
It didn't feel like the same game.
Yeah, it felt completely different, and the whole aesthetic of the game wasn't the creepy old kind of storyline it had. I feel like it really branched off too much from the original concept.
All right, but what do you think that maybe they were setting us up for the movie with that one? Do you think they knew they already were going to do the movie before?
I feel like they possibly did because this movie had been announced years before, but they kept canceling it or having to change up when they were going to drop it or when they were going to start filming. But now that they finally developed the movie, I feel like they should somehow tie in it. Or if not, the game might have just been a flop overall.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on from this topic because we won't have enough time if we just keep talking. So my second topic is another one that's coming out soon, which is the new Spider-Man 2 game. Which now is going to be starring Venom instead of Spider-Man. It's still Spider-Man, but it's the symbiote suit, which is going to be very good, hopefully.
I feel like this Spider-Man game will be something that, even though it's not just Spider-Man, it will mainly picture itself on the life of Spider-Man and his development through, and possibly
Miles Morales.
That is true. They are putting together.
Yeah.
This will be pretty good. As I think that it would develop into Miles Morales eventually. You're touching the symbiote and getting it himself, or him learning from Peter having the symbiote on him.
Yeah.
And develop them both as characters.
Also, another thing about the game is that they're finally introducing a villain who's actually been a very good villain. I think they should have showcased sooner, which is Kraven the Hunter.
Oh yeah, that's a character that they haven't even brought into the MCU quite yet, and I feel like it's good that they develop him in the game first, to where we have a good concept of what he would be like. Because
most people didn't read the comics.
And whenever the Spider-Man game came out on PS5, they changed the character to more like Tom Holland, and the graphics and everything a little more like the movies. I feel like they should connect those somehow, and that Kraven should eventually be developed in the movies as well as this new Spider-Man game.
Speaking of the movies and Kraven, who do you think should be the Kraven in a movie? I think it should be Jason Momoa.
I agree very much.
He is a very good looking Aquaman. Kraven, my bad.
He
was a good Aquaman.
He is a good person to put as that role, because if they cast him, he fits the body type. He has the height. He also has fit roles that are kind of that personality of not exactly rude or mean, but kind of darker or
and more savage. Yeah, because Kraven's not from this time. He's older, but he does advance, and he's one of the hardest villains because he's not super powered or anything. He's just a human who, like most of us, just kill other humans and kill anything. We're hunters, I guess. But the new Spider-Man game, hopefully it really shows up in the box office and everything. Hopefully it goes good. Can't really speak on it much now since we only got our trailer.
Yeah, but with the trailer being out, I feel like many fans are starting to really make conspiracies of how the game will develop. They feel like they might not even adapt players at all.
Yeah.
Some people just, I don't know. I guess the game will develop into something, but people are making too many assumptions of it right now since we don't have a trailer.
The city still looks the same in the new Spider-Man game, as it did in the Miles Morales one and the regular Spider-Man one. So do you think they'll make any other changes to the city? Because it may just be the same thing.
I feel like they will make some changes to the game, not the city. I feel like if they're keeping the city the same, they might add something else into it, as in other places, not just the city itself.
Like more rural regions instead of just New York City.
Exactly. Maybe it might be, as in the trailer, in the jungle, maybe some scenes in there.
Yeah, that would be good.
Or possibly something completely different that we haven't even thought about yet. Because the creators they're very good creators. They're very creative. They know what they're doing. They know what people want to see. Or maybe they know things that people might find interesting that we haven't even thought about putting into games.
Do you think it'll just be just Kraven, or do you think he might introduce some of his pets that
He might introduce some other things, because I don't think that they'll put Kraven alone just because he's a new character they introduced into the game that people have wanted for a while, and they want to make him a special villain that's both very strong but also very, very intelligent.
From what I read, he's also hunting the lizard, which is his reason for being in New York, because Doc, or I don't know his name. Alright, I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't kept up with too much Marvel recently, but he's come after the lizard, and maybe that's going to be something. Maybe they team up, maybe someone teams up with Spider-Man, and then they take each other down. It might be really good. It might not be. We can't really tell.
I feel like possibly, in my opinion, he'll team up with the lizard instead of capturing him.
Yeah.
Because they both have a hatred for Spider-Man, and they both know that, I assume they know that he has a symbiote,
Yeah.
And with this trailer showing that the abilities he has with the symbiote, I'm assuming that everybody is exposed to the fact that he has it. They know how strong he actually is, and the two might work together to take him down, or one of them might work to take him down, and the other might backstab the other one in the back.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, let's move on to your third topic of the day.
my third topic is really in my name. It's conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
Because
conspiracies.
many people make conspiracy theories, but not many people believe in them, or some people just deny them overall. And I feel like it's also a very good concept that both brings drama, but also brings more to the table than to meet the eye. Because many people, like as aliens, for example, the existence of aliens, some people don't believe them. Some people think it's stupid. Some people think it's real. Some people really believe they're out there. And I also believe that with the universe being so big and ever expanding, there has to be something else out there. There's no way it's empty space and just random planets that are hanging out there. There has to be something on there.
Yeah, and a lot of the planets out there, there's millions that actually are survivable for us and any other thing. Since even Mars has found small little bacteria on it, which have survived even through the loss of water that they had or whatever. And as the Bible said, God made everything and then He made humans. So we don't really know what all He made before that. So it could be literally almost anything.
That is true. And many things in the Bible, many things that aren't in the Bible have occurred in real life. They're just things we don't need to know.
Yeah.
So maybe this is why we have a want to know if they're out there, because they may not have been mentioned, but that might be because it's not a need to know, but
Like
we should have a
dinosaurs.
desire for it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like dinosaurs might have been mentioned in the Bible, but not directly.
Yeah, he didn't say dinosaurs. But
said
it's
dinosaurs. He
loosely
said loud,
translated to like dragons or whatever, right? But what do you think? What if dinosaurs were actually just aliens?
Possibly, that's a very good idea. I feel like with the fact that dinosaurs were completely different from any animals or creatures, I can't say animals, that were on this planet. Many people say that, scientists say that birds are the descendants, but there's not really anything.
Yeah.
They have too much in common. They might have some features, but not everything that has things in common are related.
Even we have features in common with dolphins and stuff. That doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
But dinosaurs, if anything, they should be closer related to like a lizard or a giant Komodo dragon or an alligator, not just birds.
Exactly.
So it would make more sense, kind of, that maybe they were aliens, they made it to Earth, so they survived a very long time. Maybe because their organs and everything were different from ours, so they could survive without their needs for so long. And then they just died off.
Yeah, I also feel like since there's a debate of how the dinosaurs were wiped out, that maybe they died out on their own.
Yeah.
Because they say that either a volcano erupted or a giant asteroid hit the Earth, but there's no giant crater. Half the Earth will be in space floating somewhere if that was true, or if the volcano really erupted and they died off because of lack of sunlight and all that.
It had to be the Yellowstone, which
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really knows if it was Yellowstone. I don't think. But there's only one crater, and it wasn't big enough to be anything. It just flung off a little bit. But like you said, if they could have died off on their own. So what if they were aliens, all right? And then, you ever read the Bible, a part where the lepers were tossed off away from the people?
Yes, I've read
so they
that
could die
part.
on their own?
Yes.
Well, what if the dinosaurs were diseased aliens, so they just sent them off to Earth so they could just die here instead of infecting the rest of the population?
That is a very good concept. I feel like with the fact that every creature has the same mindset of we don't want to be near something we're not attracted to, or not just attracted to.
We try to get away from the infected things.
Yeah, things that we find repulsive or shouldn't be around us. We find a way to cast them out.
We just want
that's a very
to
good
survive.
concept.
That's our main thing.
Exactly.
Almost everything on Earth and maybe in space, we don't know. But everything else just tries to survive, no matter what it takes. Killing other things, humans even kill our own people to survive. But yeah, that's a pretty good concept. Aliens, we don't really know if they're real or not. It's pretty much just a theory for now, but
yeah. And leading on to theories, there's also another thing that I've thought about, and it's the megalodon living or not.
yeah,
Because many people think that it might just be at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because we've explored less of the ocean than we have of space.
Yeah.
So it might be possible that it might have adapted to its environment. It might have started eating something else, because there are sharks that or quote unquote sharks that don't eat humans or fish or other creatures. They eat algae.
yeah, just like the whale shark that eats plankton. Maybe
Yeah.
they evolved to be one of them. We can't really tell at this point. We don't know what's going on under there.
There might be something.
We need to reach the bottom of the Mariana to understand it. We haven't even touched the bottom yet. The lowest we've been is like near the bottom.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like with us also starting to develop more with science, as the same thing with time travel and space, we will be able to reach that eventually. Eventually, we'll be able to develop a capsule or a machine that will allow us to travel down there and hopefully discover if it's alive or not. But leading on with theories, we can lead on with that later on. But there's another one, which is many conspiracy theories with SpongeBob. I feel like
SpongeBob.
it's a very good
Any
childhood
cartoons,
show.
a lot of cartoon conspiracy theories that are out there.
Yeah, and the main one I've been thinking about with SpongeBob is the secret ingredient to Krabby Patty.
Oh yeah, like crabs.
Yeah, crabs. Some people think it's crabs because Mr. Krabs is the only crab left there, or some people believe that it's actually Pearl's mom.
Yeah, because she doesn't have a mom, and doesn't tell us who the mom is.
And in the scene where Mr. Krabs is at home, there is a picture of a giant sperm whale in his house. So, and him swimming next to it, so it might be.
It might be the mom that's in the Krabby Patty, or it could be Mr. Krabs is the other crabs, because whenever he took a bite of the Krabby Patty, he said, so that's what I taste like. So we don't really know what's in the Krabby Patty or why the Krusty Krab is a crab trap.
Exactly. It might even be a mixture of many things. We have no idea so far, but for now, we just gotta keep them as a theory.
Yeah, but because all we do know is that plankton is making chum, which is other dead fish.
Yeah. So far, cannibalism isn't out of the picture.
True. So my third topic to get off conspiracy theories for now is the Marvel franchise in general, because we haven't really spoken about anything besides Spider-Man, but I want to talk about the entirety of the Marvel franchise, the MCU, the comics, everything that's going to be going on.
Something I love. Yes, sir.
Because recently, the most recent Marvel drop, I think, was Guardians of the Galaxy, which apparently some people thought it was a flop, but I hopefully want to watch it soon and get a little idea, and then I'll come back and talk about it. But let's talk about some other ones that we've seen recently.
Here recently, I haven't been paying attention too much to the MCU itself, but the last movie that I really, really enjoyed was the last Black Panther movie that came out not too long ago. It's something that many people love because of the culture they have, but I think it was a very good development with the movies because it introduced a new villain that people wanted in the movies for such a long time. Namor, that many people don't even know about. Yeah. Many deep MCU fans, or Marvel in general, have known about Namor, but haven't been able to see him on the big screen until recently. And I feel like that was a good development.
It's also a good development that he isn't just another white character or something. He has culture. He's something other than what we've seen, which is we've seen black people and white people as heroes, but we haven't really seen any like Hispanic, Chinese. We need more diversity in it, which is a good thing to bring in no more. You know?
Since Shang-Chi dropped, I feel like everybody enjoyed having a more diverse cultural movie introduced into the MCU, and I feel like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever really introduced a good way of expanding into more cultural diversity. As like nowadays, many other companies are making movies that do it just to be inclusive and not to actually introduce culture or how people live around, not just our area but around the world.
Yeah. Now we've talked about a really good one. Let's talk about one that's flopped, one that was really hyped up and then everyone hated it. Ant-Man, Quantumania. Yeah. Everyone was talking about it's gonna be such a good movie. You know, Quantumania. We got so many. We got the best villain, and we got MODOK too, which is finally a new character. We got Kang. So we gotta just break this down on why it started off as such a high-rated movie, and then it came out and everyone hated it.
I feel like it was because they pushed too much into it. Yeah. They went into it thinking we're gonna introduce these characters, we're gonna introduce a new part of the story that people may have wanted to see or they haven't even thought about seeing, and then it flopped because they forced a lot upon the movie, and it kind of misplaced a lot of things that should have been introduced slowly instead of just put all together in a blob.
They introduced Kang and MODOK in the same movie, which I think MODOK had more than just being looped in with Kang. Since Kang is a very good villain, he's very powerful, he has cosmic being in him. But MODOK, he's genius. He has power to rival Brainiac, who is in DC, but MODOK is a genius, and he shouldn't have been looped in just to be a lackey to Kang or anything.
Yeah, I feel like that might have been another main reason why people didn't like it, is that they developed him into a character that wasn't as much of his own villain, but basically a sidekick.
Yeah.
He wasn't developed correctly, and I feel like that's why people were so disgraced by it. In the comics, he's portrayed as someone very powerful and someone that he's a force to be reckoned with, but here he's shown to be kind of someone's, not servant, but pretty close to it.
Yeah, he's not seen as powerful as Kang. I mean, Kang is obviously a very powerful being, but MODOK is a genius in his own right, which can rival just raw power.
That's also why many people believe that the MCU itself will eventually flop, because of the way they're introducing characters.
They're just introducing him too fast. I know they're going through their stages right now. We're in stage 4, which is getting halfway through, I think. To the final one. But
and it's starting to feel a little bit crowded, I guess, because they're not developing the stories as much as they should. They're kind of trying to hop into it.
They're trying to throw more out than they should.
They're developing characters and storylines in a way that we can't really sit and think about the things that are going on. It's more of, we just want a story to put out there so people watch and we earn money.
Yeah, so they're not really focusing on the story. They're focusing more on the money they make from it.
Exactly.
Which I think is not very good. But another thing about the Ant-Man movie was, I know it's supposed to be Quantumania, so small, so tiny, it's supposed to be shrunken, but almost the entire movie seemed like a lot of CGI. Nothing too much CGI is all Marvel needs to be. It needs to be more like Endgame. Endgame was such a good one. It boosted everything. It was such a good tie together since they...
Yeah. I feel like they should... I personally believe that they're leaning a lot more into CGI all over the MCU, as in, like, Moon Knight. It uses a lot of it CGI, even though it's good.
Moon Knight, everyone anticipated him coming out, and he was a very good character, awaiting another season, of course.
Yeah, but I feel like when you started talking about CGI, you were onto something with they're using it a little, not exactly too much, but to the point where it's kind of getting a little intrusive into the actual acting of the movie.
Yeah, it should be more focused on the people's acting, their way to portray, like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. That got everyone in their feelings whenever he died, because he was more of a character that you can get behind.
A very memorable
Thor,
character.
Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Spiderman. They're all characters you can get behind because of their personalities, their everything. But even Ant-Man too. But some of the new characters feel like they have less personality and more just...
They're forced to be a certain character, but not very much so portrayed as a character they're meant to be.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, but going along those lines, it's also introducing other movies, not just specific movies, but movies overall, that now technology is advancing. CGI is the main thing, and I feel like movies are slowly becoming less and less entertaining over time. Yeah. I feel like back in the day when I was younger, or when my parents were young, the movies were all about the acting. They weren't about the special effects. They're about how the actors portrayed the characters they were meant to portray. How they made you feel,
how they wanted.
Exactly.
Like, whenever you can't say that whenever you watch the original Wolverine movie, you didn't want to be Wolverine after watching that movie. Hugh Jackman, such a good character as Wolverine. Perfectly acting and perfectly spotted to be him. It was meant to be Hugh Jackman, of course.
Yeah. And now they're just picking characters or people that act as the characters that, I'm not gonna say don't fit the character, but don't portray him as well as they should be portraying him.
All right, what's your another opinion on what movie are you awaiting to come out?
Right now, I'm waiting for the new Blue Beetle that's coming out. It may have a lot of CGI, but I feel like with Joel Madureira acting as Blue Beetle, it will be a very good movie.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Blue Beetle's powers, but I hear he's pretty strong and everything. The movie I'm awaiting to come out, obviously, is the new Deadpool, because Ryan Reynolds definitely got me behind Deadpool, and they're going to bring back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So, hopefully that we can see these characters actually bring back the MCU as a very respectable
universe in movies. Yeah. I feel like they've slowly declined in the creation of their movies, but as always, we can't really do anything, and these are all just theories. So we can't really help it. But that's all for today, and thank you for listening, and that's the end of our podcast.
Thank you, everybody.